Hi there, welcome to this week's Weatherquest farming forecast. So recently we've been speaking to a lot of farmers who are concerned about this month's forecast and the forecast for the autumn as a whole and how it will compare to the weather that we had last year, which you'll probably remember was quite unsettled at times, with lots of spells of wet weather making it quite disruptive for the farming industry. So we thought we'd put together a few maps for you, starting with this radar estimated rainfall anomaly app for this September so far, just so we can see what it's been like this September. So you can see a lot of those brown colours across southern and eastern parts of Britain, particularly some red colours in the south as well, indicating much drier than average conditions for the month so far, particularly with these areas in the red, less than 5 millimetres of rain so far this September. So quite dry across many places. Obviously we've got high pressure to thank for that. That's been in control of our conditions for a lot of this month so far. All except for northwestern Scotland, which are covered in those blue colours there, indicating that it has been wetter than average, and they have indeed had quite a lot of rain this month so far. But elsewhere it has been pretty dry. So let's take a look at how this compares to this time last year. So this was the first half of September 2019. Same kind of map. And you can see quite a similar pattern on it as well. A lot of those sort of brown colours indicating drier than average conditions, generally in southern and eastern parts as well, although generally not quite as widespread and not as many of those red colours across southern parts as well. So generally it wasn't quite as dry, and yeah, those colours were not quite as widespread, still hanging on to those blue colours in sort of northwestern parts. So similar start to the month for September 2019, if not slightly less settled. Let's see how the rest of the month treated September 2019. Well, you can see those blue colours coming across a lot of the map, so indicating the second half of September 2019, really quite unsettled, particularly across northern England, which did see quite a lot of rain. So a bit of a change as we went into the second half of September 2019, rather unsettled, rather wet. You can see why people are so worried about having a repeat of that this year. However, parts of Scotland did escape that with some of those drier than average conditions up there. And then with autumn as a whole, you can see how wet indeed much of England and sort of Wales, parts of Northern Ireland were with those blue colours, particularly across northern England. Lots of disruptive and unsettled weather here. While Scotland generally did escape, although there was still lots of spells of rain here. It is Scotland after all. So yes, we have been speaking to a lot of farmers about that on the phone. Generally it does look like with the rest of September, things are generally looking closer to average, so not too much to worry about in the short term. But if you do want to get a check-in with the forecast, the best place to do that is to speak to our forecasters. They're available every day from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. on 090 65 77 7675, with calls costing £1.55 a minute, plus network access charges. So let's take a look at a more of the short-term forecast, taking a look at the jet stream. So you can see quite strong out to the west, and the jet stream generally sort of heading northwards across parts of Britain, so steering any areas of low pressure to the north. However, there is this little cut-off area of jet stream just sort of spinning around Iberia into sort of the Bay of Biscay as we head towards the weekend, that could act to bring us a little bit more sort of unsettled weather to parts of southern Britain as we head into the weekend. But for the many part, high pressure will be allowed to dominate here as the jet stream tends to steer areas of low pressure further north. So let's take a look at how things start the day on Wednesday. So with high pressure dominating to the north, things will generally be fairly nice here. However, southern parts may start with the odd mist or fog patch in places, perhaps the odd shower in the southeast, and we have got a weak front somewhere across sort of parts of Northern Ireland, Northern England, which may just bring the odd spot of rain or drizzle as that sinks southwards throughout the day. So things to bear in mind, but generally many places will be dry with sort of sunny spells as that area of high pressure continues to build in through Wednesday and indeed into Thursday as well, dominating conditions for many places, maybe just the odd shower in northwestern parts, but most places staying dry with plenty of sunny spells for Thursday. Now into Friday, that high pressure still staying out to the east, bringing a nice day for many places, and that does look to continue as we head into Saturday as well. We've just got this front up to the northwest here to worry about, which may bring a few spells of rain on Friday. but as that moves southeastwards, it will tend to weaken somewhat, maybe just bring the odd spot of drizzle, while the other thing to worry about is this area of low pressure down here, perhaps pushing a few showers into southern parts of Britain for Saturday, although as we said, with the high pressure around, many places will stay dry. Another thing just to point out, we've got we've got ex-hurricane Paulette, but that is just set to sort of spin around in sort of the Atlantic, so keeping away from our weather, but tending to bring sort of a bit more of an unsettled flavour to parts further south. So with the spraying conditions, as you'd expect over the next few days, plenty of green colours across the map, with that high pressure tending to keep things more settled. So lots of ideal spraying conditions there, which means light winds, little in the way of rain. So you can see plenty of opportunities if you're looking to get out and do some spraying. Now let's look further ahead at the forecast for the end of weekend, so looking into Sunday. Still got that area of low pressure spinning out to the southwest here, and that has sort of increasing the risk of showers as we head into Sunday, pushing up into parts of southern Britain. So if you're in the south, do just keep an eye on the forecast for Sunday. You may see a few showers, but elsewhere with that high pressure staying close by, should be a largely dry and bright day. Now, as we go further into the middle of next week, there is this rain out to the northwest to worry about, but before that, it does look like high pressure will be ridging into the UK, dominating our conditions and keeping things nice and settled for the early part of next week. But yes, it is the middle of next week, sort of Tuesday night into Wednesday, where we start to worry about this rain pushing into northwestern parts, which will move southeastwards into the middle of next week, so Wednesday, Thursday, bringing a rather wet day to many places. And you can see that nicely on this chart here. So you can see Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, a risk of those green colours, a very low chance of a dry day. So indicating that many places will see rain on some of those days, but particularly Wednesday with all places in those green colours there. Now, as we go further ahead, you can see those green colours continuing across many sort of northern and western parts. Meanwhile, as we look at sort of southern areas, things tend to go back into those brown colours, indicating a higher chance of a dry day. So suggesting that things might start to settle down once again. So we may see a sort of ridge of high pressure building in once again from the south, bringing those drier than average conditions. Meanwhile, low pressure continues to affect northern parts. So what will all this high pressure do to our soils? So let's take a look at the Ensemble forecast for the sort of potential water gain or loss in this case, as we look at parts of Oxford. So over the coming week, that high pressure in charge will sort of act to dry out those soils a bit, particularly when we've got lots of sort of sunny spells drying those soils out. As we head into the weekend, you can see a few of the ensemble members sort of poking up there a little bit, as a few of them see some of those showers, which could bring a few places back into the sort of more positive side of the graph, and indeed into Wednesday and Thursday as well, with that rain spreading down from the northwest. A few of those ensemble members going for a water gain, but most of them, and with that average line, in the water loss, unfortunately. So let's finish off with a look at our monthly forecast, and this is showing the forecast for week 2. This is the pressure anomaly, and you can see that much of the UK is actually in those sort of white shades there, so indicating normal conditions, and we've got high pressure close by and also low pressure close by, so it does indicate quite a mixed bag in terms of the forecast. I'm sure we'll see some drier days and also some spells of rain at times. And this really resulting in a mixture of sort of the precipitation anomaly across the UK, with many places close to normal, but a few areas slightly above and a few areas slightly below. Looking across the west of Europe, it does look drier than average across southeastern parts of Europe and parts of Iberia as well, while parts of France, sort of Western Europe, parts of Scandinavia and Western Russia, wetter than average. Looking at the temperature anomaly, majority of sort of Western and sort of Western Central Europe in those higher than average temperatures, so warmer than average in many places here, apart from some areas in Iberia. And as we go further north and east, we're generally into those sort of below average temperatures, so a little cooler here. Taking a look at the pressure anomaly for week 3, not too much in the way of change. Still got the influence of low pressure generally to the north, while high pressure stays further south. So both of these things having an impact on our weather at times. So still in that idea of a mixed bag. And it's very important at this time of year not to take the longer term forecast to heart, as we have some areas of some tropical systems spinning around in the Atlantic, and there's a lot of uncertainty on how these will affect our weather and in turn affect our forecast. So definitely something to bear in mind. Definitely don't take the forecast to heart at the moment. But you can see with that idea of sort of high pressure dominating to the south, we've got those brown colours indicating drier than average conditions across many parts of southern Europe, while those green colours indicate wetter than average conditions across parts of Scandinavia. And temperatures generally sort of following along this track as well, with warmer than average conditions across many southern parts, while cooler than average conditions affect some parts of sort of northwestern Scandinavia. Into week 4, there's really not too much to talk about. It's almost like the model can't really make up its mind what it wants to do. So it is a bit of a sort of low confidence forecast at this stage, but likely to be influenced by high pressure at times, as well as areas of low pressure bringing more unsettled conditions. So definitely a mixed bag. And you can see a lot of sort of variation in the sort of greens and browns across Europe, with generally sort of a stronger signal for drier than average conditions across southeastern parts of Europe, and maybe a little bit sort of wetter than average conditions across Western Europe. And the temperatures as well, persisting sort of higher than average temperatures across sort of southwestern parts of Europe, and indeed going into those above average temperatures as well in sort of northeastern parts, and generally elsewhere looking like it'll be closer to average. So what can we expect in the next sort of coming days? So many places will be dry under that influence of the high pressure, with plenty of sunny spells around, although you do just have to watch out for the odd shower or spot of rain at times. And the risk of showers does increase as we head into Sunday, particularly across southern parts, but elsewhere we're generally remaining dominated by high pressure into the early part of the next working week as well, but before becoming more unsettled into the middle of next week as that rain spreads down from the northwest. As I said earlier, and as Dan mentioned in his video last week, as we go into the sort of longer term forecast, confidence really does fall. So it's definitely one to keep an eye on. So best thing to do, give us a follow on social media, and you can see our daily forecast here and ask us any questions if you need to. Thanks.